Oh, and one last thing, Martin, you appreciate this. When I was in Vegas, did I tell you this? Did you hear about? I went to go see Rich Little.
Oh yeah, you did say something about that. You said you had a good time.
Man, so
Is that Rich Little or Rich Little Dummy?
that's both.
Okay. It looks like those pictures you sent me, they look like an animatronic.
Yeah, man. Listen, y'all don't know who this guy is. Y'all are young, very young, and there was this comedian from back in the day. He was an impressionist, and he was one of the biggest stars during the 70s and early 80s.
Yeah.
He had his own TV show. He had specials. He was invited to all the roast.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody was like, "Oh, shit, do me, man." And they love this guy. About 1982, 1983, this guy hit a wall and just stayed there.
Yeah.
It didn't go. And I went to Vegas a couple of weeks ago, and my friend Tim, old friend of mine, man, we had never taken a trip together anywhere, and so we went to Vegas to go see Wu-Tang Clan. But he says, I got something special, man. I got a surprise for you, because he told me about his show. And he's like, "Hey, man, I went to Groupon and got Rich Little." This dude, man, he hit a wall, and then he became that guy. Like back in the day, I don't know what his politics were like, but he just became like this. And I'm not making a political point. I'm not. But I'm just telling you what he is. He became a devout conservative.
Oh, that's not surprising at all. Because his two biggest impressions were Richard Nixon and Ronald Reagan. Mm-hmm. And once Reagan wasn't president anymore, it was like, I guess he couldn't do George Bush, so he was just stuck right there. That's why he froze in time.
He does a great Joe Biden, but because they're just both old and
right.
Man, he came out he said, "Listen, if you're younger, you're not gonna know anything I'm talking about during this show." He just don't give a shit.
Right. He said, "I'm not updating my material."
No, and boy, I enjoyed the show. I loved it, but it is one of the cringiest things. I mean, the jokes. He's a great impressionist, but really not anymore.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. And all of the stuff he's doing is old.
Yeah.
The most recent thing that he's done is Joe Biden and Kermit the Frog.
Everybody's favorite today, Kermit the Frog.
And he can't do Kermit the Frog very well.
I'm Kermit the Frog.
And he has all this political humor that just doesn't work. And then he does all these people that, he brings up all these movies that are old. He's like, "On Golden Pond." Anybody remember that? And he does and then he does a whole scene from On Golden Pond.
Never even heard of that movie.
Oh, Henry Fonda and Captain
Hepburn. Yeah, y'all don't know this movie, but he's doing all these. He's mentioning all these old movies, and mostly he's just showing his old stuff and sitting back and being like, "Yeah, that was awesome." He's showing all these old clips and skits. But yeah, he just doesn't care. He got a fine ass wife, and he just plays to about the 30-something people in the room. He just comes out, does a 6 o'clock show before all senior citizens got to go to bed.
Right before his bedtime.
Yeah.
He steps off stage and hands him a warm glass of milk, and he's asleep in the car.
He gets right back on the bus with him.
Yeah. Handsome guy. This is him back in the day. Like he was, and like I said, today he's got a fine ass wife, man. Tim showed me.
Yeah.
But
What country is she from?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know.
She's just a ambiguous brown.
No, she's white chick.
Okay.
No, she's
she's from the Ukraine.
Oh yeah, probably. Yeah, he ordered her from Russia or something, man. But no, she's fine. But yeah, he does his thing where he does these pictures, he does these sketches, and the sketches are good enough to where you can know who they are.
Yeah.
But they're not great. But he does these things where he says, "I do sketches and pictures, and the funny thing about it is my pictures, they talk." And it just, every now and then he works that in, and sometimes he just forgets about it. Sometimes the pictures move with this weird CG mouth. It's like that where the picture's manipulated.
Yeah.
To stretch,
Yeah.
but and then sometimes they don't move at all, and he tries to use he talks to them.
Okay, so he has a screen up.
He has a screen up.
It's a multimedia thing.
Yeah, And like one of the biggest things he did, he always flashed up this picture of Kamala Harris, and he says, "I hate her laugh. That woman bugs me." So she just interrupts his show and just laughs out of nowhere sometimes.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a weird. It's just he's a great. I used to be a great impressionist, but he doesn't write jokes.
Yeah.
So this thing has no structure.
Well, he was a great impressionist when most people weren't doing that.
Yeah.
And once you start getting people doing it, you kind of look back at him and like, well, you kind of started things, so good for you. But these 5 same impressions you keep doing, it's kind of hacky.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a hack even in his heyday. So.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, well, not in his heyday, but toward the end.
Like today, he still does like people again.
George Burns.
Yeah, kids you wouldn't know. Maybe will ask your grandparents. George Burns. He does George Burns.
Mm-hmm.
He just does another name you kids won't know. Jimmy Durante.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God. Nobody even does Jimmy Durante in cartoons anymore.
No. Bob Hope.
Yeah.
Thanks for the memory. Y'all won't know any of this stuff, but and what was so funny about it is like, I was probably, I'm 52. I was probably the youngest person in the room.
Oh yeah, sure.
Except for now, this guy, he does a very conservative show with all these old things that some of this shit was even probably a stretch for me. Just a couple of things.
Yeah, when I was young, I was into stuff from way before.
Yeah. There was a couple of things like, all right, I think I know that. I'm not sure, but behind me, now keep in mind, conservative show where this guy's doing all pretty much taking shots at liberals and everybody, because he even said, we got any liberals in here, and him and I, we were drunk, and we were just kind of like, yeah, right here. Hey. And he's like, fuck, I got nothing for that.
Get him out of here.
But we didn't interrupt the show. He asked, and we were just like, yeah. So he's just like, whatever. So he, but sitting behind us was this young lesbian mixed couple. And I want to ask them, what the fuck y'all doing here? But they left before I could.
Aww.
But I was certain that they were gonna leave, but they stayed for the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, they won tickets and just like, we got nothing else to do.
Oh, that happens. I saw a hack comedian. I saw the unknown comic.
The dude with the bag on his
with the paper bag on his head. Yeah. And he did half the show with the bag on and then took it off and did it just as himself, Murray Langston. Surprisingly, it was a funny show. It was all mostly old, kind of dad jokes. But yeah, he's good at what he does. And he had another guy come on. Yeah.
I like that. That's funny.
Yeah. He used to kill on the Gong Show. But then I had another dude come on after who said like, hey, don't leave. I got my show's coming up next. And I was like, yeah, it's late. I'm leaving. And they were like, hey, we'll give you free tickets. And I sat in that show, and yeah, it was all cringe. It was funny to watch people get up and leave through the show. I saw some people come in, a guy with a young woman, I don't know if his daughter, his girlfriend. They sat down. After about 5 minutes, they got up and left. It was just me and a pack of some soldiers who were just like, we were drunk and laughing our asses off. And it was all over with. I was like, I'm glad you guys had a good time. How much you pay? It's like, we got these tickets for free. It's like, yeah, I got mine for free too. And there's somebody else on the other side. It's like, oh, I got my tickets for free also. So I don't know if anybody paid.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. So they just stuffed the room with giveaway tickets.
If you stay at those comedy shows, you will see some interesting acts. I've been at the Comedy Store, like the guy who goes up at midnight. Yeah. And it can get fucking weird, like really fast.
Yeah.
I don't even want to say what that guy was talking about.
It was just kind of like a comedy graveyard where I was.
Oh, wow. I love that kind of stuff. I don't know why.
Because I was like, this is one of these hacky dudes who he never even really made it. He only got to like this level.
Wow.
And then, but he was in his 50s.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was people. Yeah, it was. I want to go again. I want to take you to that. I really do. I was telling Tim the whole time. I was like, man, I want to take Martin to this so bad because you remember some of the stuff he's talking about.
Yeah.
But you also recognize that this is not.
Yeah, no.
But it was. I loved it though. I loved the whole. It was surreal.
Oh yeah, sounds like it.